Hi there. Backup has always been one of the most interesting things I've covered within IT. Quite frankly, it's still bizarre to me. For about 50 years, backup and recovery has been both one of the most consistent spends in all of IT, and I suppose conversely, one of the most consistent problems. It comes down to backup and recovery being one of the most visible symptoms of what I'm going to call my simplistic but completely accurate theorems within IT. The data growth causes all of our problems. It eventually breaks every single process, procedure, and product that you have on your floor. If we stopped having data growth altogether, we'd never really have a backup problem any further. Once we had this stuff backed up effectively once, we would just stop doing it. So when you combine an already complex, broken system with a modern accelerant like virtualization, it's sort of like throwing gasoline on the fire. The problem just gets worse in a hurry. So companies ran to virtualization like the gold rush, only to find that their already taxed and complicated backup and recovery systems simply didn't work at all in the modern age of virtualization. Thus, we had a slew of purpose-built backup companies come to bear to solve that specific problem. How do I back up a virtual environment? The issue, to put it bluntly, is that people want another vendor in their shop like they want a hole in their head. They just don't. Thus, they kicked and screamed at their incumbent vendors to provide the functionality they required to deal with their virtual worlds. But that took a while. In the meantime, they had no choice but to find alternatives and created companies along the way. So here's some interesting data. According to the latest ESG IT spending research, improving data backup and recovery tied is the #1 priority in 2012, right alongside increased use of server virtualization. That should come as no surprise when one considers that while virtualization solves many IT delivery and deployment challenges, the ease of provisioning new virtual machines can create inordinate storage demand. And that virtual machine sprawl, combined with the ever-increasing size of unstructured file data, as well as databases and email, add up to the very reasonable outcome that backup continues to remain top of mind for most IT professionals. Virtualization owners, application owners, business stakeholders, and executive managers are all going to suffer the ills of bad backup in a virtual environment. So our research also found that many aspects of the status quo in backup are deemed unsatisfactory. In fact, when asked what they would do if they could re-architect their entire backup solution from scratch, only about a third of respondents of our recent backup modernization survey said that they would stay with their existing solution. That's pretty telling. 16% that they would use a cloud-based solution instead of an in-house solution at all. And maybe most interesting, 44% said that they would do something different. With the top two IT spending trends in 2012 being backup and virtualization, ESG looked really closely at the trends and preferences towards protecting virtualized workloads in a new backup modernization study. And due in part to the challenges that many organizations faced in years past related to legacy backup solutions not being agile enough or capable of backing up hypervisors, more than half of all respondents are now using a separate backup solution for their virtual environment than they are for their physical. While more than half are using separate solutions today, shows that moving forward, though, an impressive majority, almost 70%, prefer a single unified solution for protecting their physical environments and their virtual environments. I think that number is going to get even bigger. It doesn't bode well for those who have built their businesses around supporting only a virtual environment. Something tells me that we're going to be dealing with physical servers for another decade or maybe 4. So what does that mean? It means buyers are simply not going to buy from a vendor who only supports a single part of their environment. They forced their big vendors to support virtual environments, and now they're going to leverage them. Big guys like EMC's Avamar or medium-sized vendors like Commvault and even tiny vendors like Unitrends all support both physical and virtual environments seamlessly now. So why settle? Unless someone is going 100% virtual right now, I don't think people will. I think sticking to fewer vendors will remain a top priority, and that the window of virtualization has created for alternatives could, quite frankly, close down pretty soon. But what do I know?